We thought we could find an easier, softer way, but we could not. Some of us have tried to hold on to our old ideas, and the result was nil until we let go. Absolutely. That is a little bit from chapter 5 of How It Works from Alcoholics Anonymous, the big book, the big blue book. This blue book right here is definitely a tool that has helped me get physically sober from my addiction to drinking, meaning I used alcohol to cope. Nobody on the outside would think that I was an alcoholic by any means. Remember, alcoholism is not something that another person can diagnose you with, it's something that you kind of accept about yourself. Do I use this substance to cope when I feel anxious, when I feel scared? If I'm in a situation or I'm really stressed out, do I drink to make it all go away? Then you might want to ask yourself, what is my relationship with alcohol? Might I be an alcoholic? And that is up for you to understand, or for you to make that decision for yourself. So I definitely made that decision, and I'm 4 years sober now. So this is not to make everybody sober, but just to kind of go into the whole idea of surrendering and letting go. We've tried so many ways in different areas of life, and that's just an example, a physical addiction to whatever it is. It could be to food, to sex, to pornography, to gambling. So many things we can be addicted to. Now, I want to talk a little bit about another blue book, A Course in Miracles. This blue book right here, this is my big blue book. It keeps me emotionally and spiritually sober. So a lot of times, now that I am physically sober, a lot of people talk about emotional sobriety. What is emotional sobriety? It means that I don't feel belligerent. I don't feel insane. I don't feel out of control of my emotions of my life. Can you say the same? This is daily work. So although I remain physically sober, I have to always do work to remain emotionally and spiritually sober. So the best analogy that I have, that I've been working not just with myself but with all of my clients, is looking at our thought patterns and the way we feel in our emotions, just like an emotional addiction, just like an addiction, a chemical addiction, actually, that our body is. We are literally an unconscious victim, or maybe you're conscious of it now, to the chemical bath in the cocktail that continue to wash over our body automatically with no work at all. It's the default programming. And so I like to apply the 12 steps, so to speak, in a recovery process to our addiction to fear, our addiction to negativity, our addiction to guilt. So I'm going to read through the 12 steps and replace it with other addictions that I definitely struggle with. And I'll just use anger, resentment. I'll use anger and resentment in these as I read them. So let's go through this real quick. It says, here are the steps we took, which are suggested as a program of recovery. So instead of recovery from a substance, from alcohol, let's have a recovery from the negative limiting beliefs, thoughts that don't make us feel good, emotions, anger, frustration, and none of them are bad. It's just, are we addicted to them? Remember, emotions are just here. They're passing things to just say, hey, look here, go there, move here. You need to take a look at this. They're not somewhere to pitch our tent up and stay there forever, but we do that. And there's a lot of rhetoric, especially in the therapeutic community, of you have to honor your emotions. You really have to go through it. It's like, okay, let's take those words out, because I think it's a semantic thing. It kind of screws us up when we think about honoring our emotions, meaning putting out a bed and putting a cup of tea and a candle and saying, here, anger, just lay here and indulge. Stay as long as you like. No, don't set up a tent or a bed for your emotions. They're going to come and go. Acknowledge them. And what are they trying to tell you? Then get going. Some emotions are harder than others to get past, but we are not here to set up shop in any emotion. It's impossible, because they are always passing. And that's when we get stuck in emotion, in the cycle. It's an illusion that by laying down this bed, giving it a cup of coffee, sitting with it, talking about it, venting, keeping it always going, that's somehow going to get rid of it. No, that's just going to make it a house guest that gets real comfortable and never wants to leave. And it actually starts bullying you and taking advantage of you. All right, so step 1 in the 12 steps. We admit we are powerless over anger and resentment, that our lives have become unmanageable. Our inner world, our inner life has become unmanageable because we are addicted to, for example, anger and resentment. Step 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves can restore us to sanity. This again is surrendering to a higher power, whatever you want to call it, the universe, nature, your higher self. I call it God. I surrender to God. And I believe God is within all of us. But whatever you feel comfortable with, surrendering it to a power that's greater than you, whatever that looks like. And in AA, when they talk about the agnostic people that don't believe in a higher power, make AA your higher power. Make your tribe, your group, your community your higher power. Surrender it to a power that's detached from the stuff you're dealing with, something that's greater than you, releasing it. So that's step 2. We came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 3, we made a decision, keyword decision. Step 3, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives, our inner lives, our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood Him. Again, to turn our lives over, our inner world, to a higher power, however you can understand that for yourself. Step 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. We took a deep, deep dive within ourselves to notice the negative thought patterns. What kind of things, what kind of mental attitudes do we have? What kind of thoughts are on loop? Are we critical? Are we judgmental of ourselves and others? What's really going on up there when we really pay attention to the thoughts that are happening? We talk really nasty to ourselves. Our mental diet, ooh, it's dirty and dark up there. So of course we feel nasty. So it's taking a fearless moral inventory of what's really going on. We really get quiet. What do I really think about myself? What do I really think about my boss? What do I really think about my parents? What do I really think about what's going on in my country? What do I really think about that? What comes up automatically? That's the default programming. If you look at that, I guarantee it ain't going to be pretty unless you've done work. So that's step 4. We made a fearless, searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. Step 5, we admitted to God, or a higher power, to ourselves and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. Okay. Step 6. So back to step 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. It can be a friend, it could be a therapist, it could be a colleague, just a trusted family member, a priest, anything that a rabbi, any other human being, just to get it off your chest. Someone you can trust. So that's step 5. We admitted to ourselves, someone else, and our higher power and God. Step 6, we were entirely ready. We were ready. Step 6, you are entirely ready to have God, or your higher power, remove all these defects of character, the ones that you really came across in step 4 when you made that fearless moral inventory and you really took note and inventory of all of the nasty thoughts or beliefs or old habits, inside or out, that you're a part of. So the step 6 is we're entirely ready to remove all of them. Have God remove all of them. Give it up. Surrender it all. Step 7, humbly asked Him, God, or your higher power, to remove our shortcomings. Step 8, make a list of all persons we have harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. So all the persons that we feel guilt about, that we were not our most elegant selves, anybody that we're holding resentment against, anybody that we didn't really feel right about an interaction we had, just internally, just make a list of all the times we felt like a jerk, that we felt like we failed to ourselves or others. So make a list of all the persons, the parts of you too, including yourself, that you have harmed and became willing to make amends to all of them, to apologize. And this is where it gets scary. Being able to apologize to yourself and everyone else, even if it's not physically. So in that step Step 9, it leads into make direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or others. So you make direct amends to yourself, go through a healing, forgiving process with yourself, and then anybody else that you want to apologize to. Say, hey, look, you know what? Years ago, I always felt bad about that, and I'm really sorry. It could be in a letter form. It can be face to face, asking someone out for a cup of coffee, writing an email to somebody. That happens a lot. You see it on Facebook, like people that come across people they used to bully in high school, and they send them messages and say, hey, look, I've always felt really bad about being a jerk to you, and I just wanted to apologize. You might not even remember what I did, but I felt really bad about that. I felt a lot of guilt and shame, and that's not the person I want to be. So making amends. A lot of people do this. I remember who got sober. I mean, a lot of celebrities and public figures get sober, but it was Joe Manganiello. Joe Manganiello. He's married to Eva. What's her name? Wow, I'm drawing a blank. But the Colombian actress who's on. Wow, I'm just blanking. But anyways, Joe Manganiello, and he when he was making amends, I think he said when he was younger, he used to steal comic books from a comic book store, and he went back and he returned them all like years later or something, like paid it forward. What else? The Rock. I don't know if I think The Rock might have done the 12 steps, but I don't know if he's sober. No, he's not because he drinks tequila. But I remember he made amends. Remember, you don't have to be an addict to do the 12 steps. This is a very spiritual, very deep, beautiful process that's cleansing. But I remember he said when he did a video about it, he was in Hawaii and he used to steal Snickers bars like every day from this liquor store. And he went back and he like gave them loads of Snickers bars. Oh, no, he bought them all and like gave them money and like bought everybody Snickers. But it was just about making amends for like something that you don't feel right about. So again, step 8 is make a list of all the persons that you've harmed and be willing to make amends with that. Just be willing. Just be willing. You don't have to, but just be willing to make amends. Even just in your mind, writing a letter to them, making amends, and then burning it, sending out, an energetic apology if you don't feel, like step 9 says, like you're able to, that it would be safe to, that if you did ask them out for a cup of coffee, it might just start more trouble than it would cause healing. So just use discernment. Pray, meditate on if it would be wise for you to contact an ex-partner who's married now, and now you're married, and would it really benefit for you going for a cup of coffee with this person? In some situations, it's just not appropriate. So really gauge the appropriateness of making your amends. And you can make the amends without ever having to talk to the person. You can write a letter and burn it, like I said, read it to somebody else, kind of like a confession, if you will, getting it off your chest. But if you can, write an email, send a letter, make a phone call, ask out for a cup of coffee somebody, and just say, hey, look, you know what, I just really want to apologize for the way I acted or that one thing I did. And you might not even remember it, but it's important for me to let you know that I'm genuinely sorry. What I did wasn't right, and I hope that you can accept my apology. And some people won't be ready for that. Some people might, send a big F you and just be ready, and that's okay. Some people would rather eat glass than hear from you again. That's okay. Just forgive yourself. But this is what making amends is about, really taking a really harsh look. It's a fearless moral inventory from step 4. It's just looking at ourselves and our character defects and all the mistakes we have made that we're still holding on to unconsciously. So that was step 9, make amends when it is safe and possible. Step 10, continue to take personal inventory, and when we are wrong, promptly admit it. Step 10, continue to take personal, moral inventory, understanding what thoughts are coming up. Are you getting angry? Are you resentful? Are you holding grievances? Are you continuing to complain and criticize and judge? Continue to take that inventory, noticing, hey, ooh, there I go again. All right. And it says, then promptly recognize it and admit that we are doing it, and then give it up again to your higher power. Step 11, you sought prayer and meditation to improve your conscious contact with God or your higher power as you understood him. praying only for knowledge of His will for us and the power to carry that out, meaning the higher will that's beyond your ego. What do you really, really want? Sometimes we're so belligerent and drunk on our ego and power and things that we're just forcing in our life that sometimes it's like, whew, let's just relax and give it all up. Let's surrender it all. And let's just meditate and pray on, what do I really want? What would really benefit my life at this point? Not what my ego wants, not what would make me feel powerful or important in life, but what does my soul want? What's a deeper level? And last one, step 12, having a spiritual awakening as the result of these steps, we tried to carry this message to other people who struggle with resentment and anger, and to practice these principles in all of our affairs. You can find these anywhere online, the 12 steps. But again, you might be using it for an addiction, and I encourage you. There's plenty of resources. There's a lot of online Zoom classes now when it comes to AA meetings. They're free. And if you're curious or willing or just want to stop any habit that you're addicted to, I encourage you to join one of those meetings. And if you have any questions, please reach out and I will help you through it, because it can be daunting and scary and you don't know if you belong, all of that stuff. But today I really wanted to just talk about this book here, which I'll get into next video, about remaining emotionally, spiritually, and psychologically sober, feeling at peace and content, not feeling insane or belligerent or like I'm going just crazy with my thoughts, just feeling nasty and negative no matter what is going on. Nothing's just good enough. And having that existential rage, I definitely struggle with that. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I love talking about this stuff. If ever you have any questions, please email me, check out my website, carlaelizondo.com, and I will see y'all soon.